What's up, guys? Yasukeh here. So the patch notes have just come out, and there is some pretty significant changes that I feel like a lot of people are kind of glossing over that are absolutely incredible for both Tryndamere and split pushers as a whole. And this is something that I feel like people aren't really kind of noticing how important this is, because people don't necessarily know the context of the entire history of the game. And these Drake changes to make Dragon be about 12 to 15% weaker is going to be incredibly huge for Tryndamere and split pushers as a whole. So let's go over all of these changes, and including a couple other changes in this patch. And I just think this is going to be overall just one of the best patches we could get. So first off, we got to go back a little bit, right? Let's just use this screenshot as just an example to kind of show what happens. Is that when Riot buffed dragons at the end of Season 9 in Preseason 10, they gave the 4 dragons into the soul, which made it to where it is so important for you to group for every single dragon. And you are heavily punished for trying to get some split pushing strategies. When they made these changes, they made it to where there's a guaranteed large team fight every 5 minutes. And that kind of got rid of a lot of the strategic diversity in the game. The way that 2019 G2, as an example of a team, they would always win through these really clever split push strategies, like all of these different things that they would do on the map, that creativity was gone from the game. And dragons made the game just a lot dumber to play, because there were so many fewer options, and it was just, can you get around dragons? Can you get those team fights? And can you be strong there? So with a map state like this, right, it's soul point. Everybody has to be grouping for the dragon. And while the new changes don't nerf souls, really, except for one, for every dragon before this, you no longer feel like you have to group or you lose the game. So for these 3 other dragons right before soul, you have more time to split. Whereas before, you felt like you would have to group for every dragon. Now, if first dragon is taken at 10 minutes, you have until 30 minutes to... that 30-minute timer is when the soul fight would happen. So you have that entire time window to actually get a viable split push happening. And this is just overall going to be really great. So first off, Hextech Soul was one of the strongest souls. That soul is getting nerfed, and then also the stats are getting nerfed from like 9% to 7.5, which is a pretty good nerf. Infernal Drake being nerfed from 6% to 5%, and Mountain Drake going from 9% to 8%, and Ocean Dragon going from 3% to 2.5%. Now these nerfs are all just... they make it to where the early dragons aren't quite as impactful, because if you were a top laner, and the enemy top laner got Ocean Soul, the amount of regen from this Ocean Soul would just automatically skew lane matchups the other way. Where if you were winning in a pure 1v1 and your bot lane was losing, now all of a sudden your top laner is farther ahead because of this dragon that has nothing to do with you and nothing to do with your lane. And so this, along with several other changes, does make it a lot stronger. And first off, kind of going into the Bloodthirster changes, which one Bloodthirster was something that I would situationally use as Tryndamere into high assassin teams. If I was playing against Akali, if I was playing against Evelynn, if I was playing against these high burst champions that want to pop my ult and then walk away and then wait for my ult to be done, Bloodthirster was great for that, because you could survive an Akali combo at an even map state, which just made it so powerful. And one thing is that a lot of aided carries were rushing this or getting this very early, and it was just kind of a must-buy. And the problem with this, and then also with Bloodline, is that it turned aided carries into tanks, right? Aided carries were able to tank your damage even if you were far ahead, and not really feel like they were in super big amounts of trouble. So nerfing sustain so they don't gain 300 HP per auto attack, obviously hyperbole, and making them not have this massive big tank shield to where they just are a tank before anything else kind of happens. This is going to be a massive buff to Tryndamere and AD carries, even though your time of Russian Bloodthirster isn't necessarily as effective. I've also been trying Yorick mid with Bloodthirster, and it's not really as relevant for nerfs for Yorick and Tryndamere, because this nerf makes early Bloodthirsters a lot weaker, and the later in the game they become normal. Like, it's still more or less just as strong as it was later in the game. It's just early game Bloodthirsters, which are a lot less effective. And then this Bloodline had health on it, which just made it to where AD carries would just get a little bit too tanky. And a lot of people, when they saw the original patch notes, they thought, oh, hey, Lethal Tempo is getting nerfed. So a lot of people still don't know. Lethal Tempo is only getting nerfed for range. But that also means that AD carries are going to be a lot weaker, because most AD carries would be going Lethal Tempo, because it's just such a game skewing rune. I think Lethal Tempo is just way too strong, even on melees. Like, it fundamentally alters how Yasuo and Yone play. Yasuo used to be a champion who wasn't great level 1, and now he's one of the best level 1 champions in the game. That's the kind of thing that this skews, and this will make it to where Lethal Tempo isn't as required of a pick as it was before, and if people do still pick up Lethal Tempo, they won't be massively far ahead. And then there's also another change that would be useful to talk about, which is the Navori changes. And basically, Navori was out DPSing other items. There was very little reason to ever go Infinity Edge in most Tryndamere context and in contexts in general, because Navori would make you deal more damage through just giving you better CDs. And now 15% to 12%, it wouldn't disqualify you from ever going Navori, but it does make Infinity Edge being a much more valuable option. And in the build that I've been using since the preseason started, which is Hydra into Essence Reaver into Eclipse, I often follow that with Infinity Edge, which would give you a massive burst in a single auto attack. And so this should make a lot of people consider going Infinity Edge into a lot of other different contexts. Like Hydra, Essence Reaver, great core. And then whatever mythic you want, I prefer Eclipse. Kraken is fine too, Gale Force is fine too, even Stridebreaker can be fine too. But then yeah, just go IE. I think that Navori, I don't think that it was super important on Tryndamere, and now it's even less. It's even less valuable. Like, it will give a pretty significant size of chunk in between your autos. So I would be recommending to go Infinity Edge. A couple other things on the patch is that they are slightly increasing LP gains again from 22 to 25 on your average level. And that's one thing to think about. Just so you don't see you getting a couple extra LP and just not really understanding what's going on. But then also this is kind of a side note on the Riot's player behavior sort of level, is that I never report people because I'm not a snitch, and I don't think that people should be getting bans for like negative chat or something. Like, that's not what I believe in. And now, if you're somebody like me who doesn't report people, Riot is gonna give you snitch cards even though you're not the snitch. So yeah, just look out for that. I really just don't like the idea behind this, which we'll go over to in various other content, because there's so much to go into about Riot's toxicity angle and how just kind of disgusting it is and how much it warps the player base and their mindset. Like, people are bragging about getting other people banned for saying naughty words in game. I just can't vibe with that. But yeah, overall, this patch is going to be great for Tryndamere, great for split pushers. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited to play. So thank you guys all for watching. See you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful day.